Chapter 15, Unemployment. These are the questions we seek answers to. How is unemployment measured? What is the natural rate of unemployment? Why are there always some people unemployed? How is unemployment affected by unions and minimum wage laws? What is the theory of efficiency wages and how does it explain unemployment? The Bureau of Labor Statistics, or BLS, um, produced by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, unemployment data is produced by the Bureau of Labor Statistics in the US Department of Labor. It's based on a monthly survey of 60,000 households. We call it current population survey. It's also based on adult population 16 years or older. How is unemployment measured? The BLS divides population into three groups. Employed, these are paid employees, self-employed, and unpaid workers in a family business. That is who is considered employed. Unemployed are people not working who have looked for work during previous 4 weeks. And the third category, not in the labor force. This is everyone else. So labor force is equal to employed plus unemployed. Total number of workers. Unemployment rate and the labor force participation rate. The unemployment rate, or U rate, is the percentage of labor force that is unemployed, or U rate is equal to 100 times the number of unemployed divided by the labor force. Labor force participation rate, LFPR, is the percentage of adult population that is in the labor force. The labor force participation rate is equal to 100 times labor force over adult population. Active Learning 1. Calculate labor force statistics. Calculate the labor force, unemployment rate, adult population, and labor force participation rate using this data. Adult population of the US by groups as of August 2019. Number of employed is 157.9 million. Number of unemployed is 6 million. Number not in the labor force is 95.5 million. Answers are labor force is number employed plus unemployed, which is 157.9 million plus 6 million is 163.9 million. Unemployment rate is 100% times number unemployed divided by labor force, which is equal to 100 times 6 over 163.9 is equal to 3.7%. Adult population is equal to labor force plus not in the labor force, which is 163.9 plus 95.5, which is equal to 259.4 million. Labor force participation rate, LFPR, is equal to 100 times labor force divided by adult population, which is equal to 100 times 163.9 divided by 259.4, which is equal to 63.2%. Various demographic groups as of August 2019. Unemployment rate and labor force participation rate between men and women, and labor force participation rate between men and women. Adults 20 years and older, white male 3%, white women 3.2%. Labor force participation rate 71.8% white men and 58% white women. Black would be 5.9% unemployment and 4.4% for women. And labor force participation rate 68.3% Black men and 62.1% Black women. Unemployment rate for teenagers 16 and 19, between 16 to 19 years, white teens 11.8% unemployed, and their labor force participation rate is 37.9%. Black teens 15.7% unemployment rate and 29.2 labor force participation rate. All ages. Asians 2.8% unemployment rate, 64% labor force participation rate, and Hispanics 4.2% unemployment rate and 66.7% labor force participation rate. Employment status by education, August 2019. Adults 25 years and older, less than high school, 5.4% unemployed. Their labor force participation is 47.1%. With high school diploma, unemployment rate is 3.6%. Labor force participation rate is 57.3%. Some college or associate degree, 3.1%. Labor force participation rate, 65.6%. Bachelor's degree or more, 2.1% unemployment rate, 73.9% labor force participation rate. The natural rate of unemployment. The normal rate of unemployment around which unemployment rate fluctuates. Cyclical unemployment is the deviation of unemployment from its natural rate. This data shows U.S. unemployment rate between 1960 and 2019. You can tell the gray shades here indicates recessions over the years. And the second graph here shows labor force participation rate of men and women between 1948 and 2019. Active learning 2, limitations of the unemployment rate. In each of the following, what happens to the unemployment rate? Does the unemployment rate give an accurate impression of what is happening in the labor market? Number A, Haley lost her job and begins looking for a new one. Josiah, a steel worker who has been out of work since his mill closed last year, becomes discouraged and gives up looking for work. Kareem, sole earner in his family of 5, just lost his $80,000 job as a research scientist. Immediately, he takes a part-time job at McDonald's until he can find another job. Answers. Number A, Haley lost her job and begins looking for a new one. Unemployment rate rises. The number of unemployed increases, labor force stays the same. A rising unemployment rate gives the impression that the labor market is worsening, and it is. Number B, Josiah, steelworker, has been out of work since last year. becomes discouraged and stop looking for work. Discouraged workers would like to work but have given up looking for jobs, classified as not in the labor force rather than unemployed. Unemployment rate would fall because Josiah is no longer counted as unemployed. A falling unemployment rate gives the impression that the labor market is improving, but it is really not. C. Kareem lost his $80,000 job and takes a part-time job at McDonald's until he finds a better one. Unemployment rate remains unchanged because a person is employed whether they work full-time or part-time. Number of unemployed and labor force stays the same. Things are worse, but unemployment rate fails to show that. Measuring the unemployment rate. The unemployment rate is not a perfect indicator of joblessness or the health of the labor market. It excludes discouraged workers. It does not distinguish between full-time and part-time work or people working part-time because full-time jobs not available. Some people misreport their work status. Still a very useful barometer of the labor market and the economy. How long are the unemployed without work? Most spells of unemployment are short. Typically, one-third of the unemployed have been unemployed under 5 weeks. Two-thirds have been employed under 14 weeks. Only 21% have been unemployed over 6 months. Most observed unemployment is long-term. The small group of long-term unemployed persons has fairly little turnover, so it accounts for most of unemployment observed over time. Why are always some people unemployed? There's something called frictional unemployment, which occurs when workers spend time searching for the jobs that best suit their skills and tastes. Short term for most workers. Structural unemployment. This occurs when the number of jobs available in some labor market is insufficient to provide a job for everyone who wants one. Usually is a long-term phenomenon. Job search. Job search is a process by which workers find appropriate jobs given their tastes and skills. Some frictional unemployment is inevitable. Sectoral shifts, changes in the composition of demand among industries, changing patterns of international trade, because the economy is always changing. Public policy and job search. 1. Government-run employment agencies provide information about job vacancies. Public training programs equip displaced workers with skills needed in growing industries. Advocates keep the labor force more fully employed, reduce the inequities inherent in a constantly changing market economy. Critics, should the government get involved with the process of job search? It is better to let the private market match workers and jobs. The government is most likely worse, disseminating the right information to the right workers, deciding what kinds of workers training would be most valuable. Unemployment insurance. Unemployment insurance is a government program that partially protects workers' incomes when they become unemployed. It reduces the hardships of unemployment, increases unemployment. Unemployment insurance benefits end when a worker takes a job, so workers have less incentive to search or take jobs while eligible to receive benefits. Benefits of unemployment insurance. It reduces income uncertainty. Unemployed have more time to search. Unemployed can look for jobs that better suit their tastes and skills. It improves the ability of the economy to match each worker with the most appropriate job. Explaining structural unemployment. Structural unemployment occurs when there are not enough jobs to go around. It occurs when wages are kept above equilibrium. That will create unemployment. There are three reasons for this. Number one, the minimum wage. The minimum wage may exceed the equilibrium wage of the least skilled and least experienced workers, causing structural unemployment. Quantity of labor supplied exceeds the quantity of labor demanded. Workers are unemployed because they are waiting for jobs to open up. Second, unions. Worker association that bargains with employers over wages, benefits, and working conditions exert their market power to negotiate higher wages for workers. The typical union worker earns 10 to 20% higher wages and gets more benefits than a non-union worker for the same type of work. Economics of unions. Unions raise the wage above equilibrium. The quantity of labor demanded falls and unemployment results. Insiders, workers who remain employed, are better off. Outsiders, workers who lose their jobs, are worse off. Some outsiders go to non-unionized labor market, which increases labor supply and reduces wages in those markets. Are unions good or bad for the economy? Critics. Critics state that unions are cartels. They raise wages above equilibrium, which causes unemployment and depresses wages in non-union labor markets, inefficient and inequitable. Advocates of unions state that unions counter the market power of large firms. They make firms more responsive to workers' concerns. They keep a happy and productive workforce. Efficiency wages. The theory of efficiency wages: firms voluntarily pay above equilibrium wages to boost worker productivity and increase farm product profitability. Different types of efficiency wage theory. These suggest different reasons why farms pay higher wages. Number one, worker health. In less developed countries, poor nutrition is a common problem. Paying higher wages allows workers to eat better, makes them healthier and more productive. Number two, worker turnover. Hiring and training new workers is costly. Paying higher wages gives workers more incentive to stay, reduces turnover. Number three, worker quality. Offering higher wages attracts better job applicants, increases quality of the firm's workforce. And number four, workers can work hard or shirk. Shirkers are fired if caught. Is being fired a good deterrent? It depends on how hard it is to find another job. If market wage is above equilibrium wage, there aren't enough jobs to go around. So workers have more incentive to work, not shirk. Active learning 3, structural or frictional unemployment. Which of the following would be most likely to reduce frictional unemployment? Number A, the government eliminates the minimum wage. Number B, The government increases unemployment insurance benefits. Number C, a new law bans labor unions. Number D, more workers post their resumes at LinkedIn.com, and more employers use that LinkedIn.com to find suitable workers to hire. Number E, sectoral shifts become more frequent. Answers A, B, C. Number A, the government eliminates minimum wage is likely to reduce structural unemployment, not frictional unemployment. Number B, the government increases unemployment insurance, likely to increase frictional unemployment, not reduce it. Number C, a new law bans labor unions, likely to reduce structural unemployment, not frictional unemployment. Number D and E, more workers post their resumes at LinkedIn.com, and more employers use LinkedIn.com to find suitable workers to hire. This is likely to speed up the process of matching workers and jobs, which would reduce frictional unemployment. Number E, sectoral shifts become more frequent, likely to increase frictional unemployment, not reduce it. Think, pair, share. While watching the news anchor says unemployment statistics released by the Department of Labor today shows an increase in employment from 6.1 to 6.2%. This is the third month in a row where the unemployment rate has increased. Your roommate says every month there are fewer and fewer people with jobs. I don't know how much longer the country can continue like this. Can your roommate's statement be deduced from the unemployment rate statistics? Why or why not? What information would you need to determine whether there are really fewer people with jobs? Chapter in a nutshell. The unemployment rate, the percentage of those who would like to work who do not have a job. It is calculated monthly by the Bureau of Labor Statistics based on a survey of thousands of households. Imperfect measure of joblessness. Some people who call themselves unemployed may actually not want to work, and some people who would like to work are not counted as unemployed because they have left the labor force, often as after unsuccessful search. Most people who become unemployed find work within a short period of time. Most unemployment observed at any given time is attributable to the few people who are unemployed for long periods of time. Frictional unemployment. It takes time to search for jobs. Increases with the unemployment insurance. Structural unemployment. The quantity of labor demanded is smaller than the quantity of labor supplied, caused by minimum wage laws, the market power of labor unions, and efficiency wages.